Hello, my friend, and welcome back. Today, I would like to talk about being yourself in different situations because I feel like that this is definitely something that we are faced with just as humans in general, but then especially when you start to spiritually awaken, I feel as though we kind of put on a mask sometimes. And this is the time in humanity that we need to remove those masks, and we need to be more of our true authentic selves than we ever have before, and in every situation. Now, when I think that in general humans put on different faces for different things, and that is okay. You may have a different face when you are at work, or then when you're with your friends, or then when you're with your friends, and when you are with your family, or then when you're by yourself. And these are okay because these are not, it's not fake, it's just showing different sides of yourself. And that is okay. We are unlimited beings. Therefore, we have unlimited sides to us, and we have unlimited faces that we can put on. However, there is a big difference between putting on, showing that side of you for the situation that you are in, and putting on a mask to cover up who you are. Because regardless of what side you are showing of yourself, you want it to be truly you and your authentic self. You really don't want to be faking it here. And for multiple reasons. First of all, for yourself, because faking it really doesn't feel good in the end. And also for other people, because you were created as your unique self for a purpose. And that one of those purposes is to let your true self shine through every side of you, every side that you are showing. And you can bring this through in many different ways. I think that one of the biggest ways you can shine through your authentic self is how you act, through your actions, and through the way that you treat people. So let's take spirituality as an example. You are now spiritually awakening, you're on this journey, you're doing the work, you're this, you're that, but you are not necessarily ready to share that side of you with the world. That is okay. You do it at your own leisure, at your own pace. However, the things that you can bring through are some of the principles that you are learning through spirituality. For example, kindness. You're learning about the boomerangs and the ripples, and keep in mind that those are always in play. So when you are showing a side of yourself, say you're with a group of friends, and they are, I don't know, you're somewhere and they're making fun of, like, say you're eating at a restaurant and they're making fun of the waitress. You may feel like that side of you, that friend side of you that you are currently showing, would normally engage and normally would partake in this kind of situation. However, now that you are spiritually awakening, you no longer want to treat people badly. You no longer want to be making fun of someone. It just doesn't serve you anymore. First of all, you have to consider who you are allowing into your circle and therefore into your energy, and really evaluate, like, is it a light-hearted thing, or is it a mean, gossipy thing? And if you are no longer aligned with that, you have to let that show through. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to correct those people. that what you're doing is not nice and you're putting out a bad ripple and you. That is not necessarily how you need to handle the situation. The better way to handle the situation, to allow that spiritual side of you to shine through, is to simply not partake and to speak your truth when someone asks you why you are not partaking. And all you have to say is, this is just something that I choose to not partake in anymore. It's unnecessary. I just don't feel it's necessary to make fun of the waitress. I just don't, So it is your actions in combination with speaking your truth when it is addressed. You don't necessarily have to be like, I'm not going to partake in this, and you guys are shitty people, and I'm not going to do this, and this just doesn't serve me, it just doesn't align with me anymore. It doesn't have to be that drastic. Actions speak louder than words. So you simply choosing to not partake in that situation speaks volumes. And a lot of times it is in those silent speakings of your actions that has the most impact, because you don't know, maybe another friend at that table also doesn't want to partake, and seeing you blatantly not partake might give them the courage to also not partake in that action. So you never know who your actions are speaking to. And that is one way that you can draw through your newfound spirituality into your old life, per se. And you can do that with anything. It doesn't have to be something gossipy. Just if something is going on, say you're at a family party and it seems to be everyone's complaining. It's just, everyone's speaking very negatively about themselves and about their life. You can, number one, show through your actions, not partake, but then you can also start to speak in a way that you want to speak when it is your turn to speak. I'm not saying to interject yourself and to be like, well, I think everything's wonderful and I think everything's perfect and is going to work out totally perfectly. That might not necessarily be as well received as maybe saying, for example, I was speaking to my cousin the other day and she was like, oh, I'm just lazy, I haven't gotten to this. And I was like, no, you're not lazy. I'm like, you have 3 children. I'm like, you're busy. So a lot of times, and that makes people feel good when you're able to take a negative that they're saying about themselves and you're able to show the truth, the positive truth of it. That is more uplifting than starting to complain about your own life and bringing your vibration down. Because, if speaking negatively about your life is something that you no longer partake in, do not let others bring you down to their level and to, that vibration. Do not let them bring you down, because it is your vibration and your life and the things that you're attracting and the way that you want to live. So it is okay to have that, different sides of you and to continue to have those different sides, but also understand that you need to be bringing those new principles that you are implementing into your daily life through those sides. And the best way to do that is through your actions. Please, it is very easy on your spiritual journey to develop what they call the spiritual ego, and to want to be, it ends up coming off as being self-righteous. I know the best way, and this is how I'm living, and you need to be living that way too. Nobody likes to be preached to that way, because a lot of times you're falling on deaf ears because you are not falling on receptive ears, because they are not asking for that to be preached to. They're not asking to be corrected. However, just because you can't show people and tell people what they are doing wrong, there is never a time that you can't be the example. And choosing to be the example that you want to be is choosing your authentic self. Choosing to be kind in a situation where no one else is being kind, that isn't necessarily easy, but a lot of times that is a lot closer to your truth and to your authentic self than joining in and just jumping feet first into whatever they're doing. So I'm not saying to curb yourself. I think that, your actions are the way to let your authentic self speak loudest, louder than any sort of self-righteous preaching you might want to do. So I encourage us to, through our actions this week, to let's really let our spiritual selves show through our actions this week. Let's let our authentic self speak volumes for us through our actions and through how we handle and navigate different situations with those different sides of us. And like, for example, another example, I was in work and we were in a meeting, and it was, there is an employee that is quitting, that is kind of leaving us in a bad position. And part of I work in a very high pressure work environment, and that is bringing out a side of him that he does not enjoy. And, as my bosses and the other employees that were there were kind of going in on this person, they weren't there, that person wasn't there, but, they were just going out on him, let's just say. And I turned around and said, if this industry is not for everyone. I think I can only do this for a limited amount of time. It is just really not for everyone. And I was like, and if he is finding internally that it is bringing out a side of him that he no longer wants to have brought out, I was like, more kudos to him. I commend him for recognizing that in himself and giving up the stability of a job, of a well-paying job, to go and do something that might not be as well-paying, but isn't putting the pressure on him and isn't therefore allowing him to bring out a side of him that he doesn't want to bring out. I was like, I know that it might be leaving us in a bad position. However, I commend him for choosing himself, and for recognizing that in himself, and then therefore making that change. And it wasn't necessarily, I don't think it was an eye-opening moment. In fact, they kind of laughed at me. However, I can now look back on that situation and know that I didn't join in on something that I didn't want to join in, and I let my authentic self shine through by showing that compassion and consideration for that other human being. So maybe, no, it didn't necessarily, I wasn't the star idea or the star thing. However, I now feel good about the way I handled that situation. And I feel as though I reached in and pulled that string from my heart and threaded it through that conversation. And that is the way that I want to live. That is the way that I want to show. I want to always show people the ultimate kindness, because we don't know the shoes that they are walking in, period. We do not know that. Therefore, and just as a human being, because I am you, you are me, and I love myself to a T. I love myself infinitely. Therefore, I love everyone else infinitely. Therefore, I want to do nothing but show them the ultimate kindness and compassion, regardless of what they are going through, because we don't know what they are going through, regardless of what they are doing. And now, showing kindness and compassion, don't get me wrong, is not justification, okay? It is showing kindness and compassion to them, living out of their egoic mind, coming out of their thinking brain. As Jesus said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And you can even remember that when you are in a gossipy situation, for example, that you don't want to take part in. When you are in a situation where the people around you are doing something that you don't want to take part in, do not become self-righteous and do not be look down upon them. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. But that doesn't mean you need to sink to their level. Always stay at your authentic level and let your authentic self shine through the different sides that you are showing. And that is what I want to encourage you to do this week. That is the lesson that I want to carry with myself and constantly remind myself, because it is so easy to just kind of jump back into that comfortable seat of how we used to go about our things. But let's face it, if you are on your spiritual awakening journey, you are different. You are growing, you are evolving, you are different. Therefore, the way we handle typical situations is going to be different, and that's okay, because that is part of our work as light workers and way showers. That is part of it. So I want to thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Anne, and I hope to see you tomorrow.